Okay.
I don't need to.
All right. Yeah. Cool. What's going on, everybody? This is the Forrest Stevens Show. Today we have Evan Mumford as a guest. I saw you a couple times now at just like a local comedy spot. You doing your show, like a little performance. And yeah, both times absolutely killed, just like crushed. And so I wanted to have you on, and we just kind of get to know each other.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Is this my camera? Is this my kind of
If you want to talk to the camera,
Hollywood shot?
Yeah, or we can just
Are we breaking
whatever.
the fourth wall?
Well, I just did for the intro,
You
but yeah.
I don't know the rules of the RV, man. Like this is a very special place.
Dude, anything goes in the RV, man.
Apparently, anything goes.
I'm going to just open the vent a bit. Anyway, man. So, so you're a local comedian here in Victoria. What kind of got you into comedy to begin with?
Comedy, comedy is like intuitive, just like music.
Yeah.
I think like being a fan of comedy is kind of separate than being obsessed with comedy.
Mm-hmm.
So growing up being a fan of comedy, just being a child in the 90s growing up with Jim Carrey movies, Adam Sandler movies, I think that's separate from my relationship with comedy, stand-up comedy.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that's obviously where it all started.
Were you a fan of like watching stand-up comedy from a young age?
Not from a young age.
Okay.
I got obsessed with stand-up. I have this thing with my brain where I pick things and I really like to learn everything about.
Yeah.
Like right now it's rap battles.
Okay. So you're watching King of the Dot, all that stuff.
Sure, yeah. King of the Dot, Ultimate Rap League, Ultimate League That Matters. Not that it matters. But yeah, so I get very intense about my
Oh, did that go up? There's that later.
yeah, dope. About my obsession. So at one point in university, it was all stand up all the time. That's when my obsession really grew. After checking out local Yuck Yucks open mics in Halifax, and there's a movie that came out called Funny People, which is actually a Judd Apatow.
Yeah, with Adam Sandler.
Yeah, and that really sparked the interest in stand up.
Cool.
Outside of just kind of wacky kind of comedy movies,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously like growing up and stuff, being a chubby kid. I grew with the defense mechanism of like being the funny guy.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's like, you should do stand up, but I didn't take it seriously at all until I saw Funny People. Then I would just write jokes for years in university, and what I used to collect records, stand up records and DVDs, and I created this palette over like the course of like 3 or 4 years, and then I actually started comedy. Yeah, so a lot of people like just like jump right in. I was like, no, I want to be good.
So you actually like fully wrote out a set that you thought was good before you went up. You didn't, and so you said 3 years you were writing stuff,
3 or 4,
and you never went up once.
No, so I would just, go to my job. I worked at a few different jobs during that course of time: record store, farmer's market. I would just have like a notepad.
Yeah.
And I was like really belligerent about like I look back and kind of cringe, but when you get really into things, you become kind of not gatekeeping, but like you get really hardlined about stuff. So I was like, pen and paper. You got to sit down. You got to write. You got to put in the work. You got to know the history of comedy.
Right. Like truly an obsession. It sounds like
it was a true obsession, and I don't think any of that is necessary.
Really.
I think you can just be a funny person and want to tell jokes.
Sure.
You don't have to know the ins and outs of Richard Pryor's career. I was just really interested in that stuff.
Yeah.
Because I find comedy in itself, outside of just how great it is and how it makes us feel, is a very, very interesting historical part of the States history with LA and New York and freedom of speech, what Carlin did, all that stuff. It's just fascinating to me. Outside of just, I like being funny.
Mm-hmm. But
now when I do comedy, it's just like, I like making people laugh, man. Like, it's just so easy. There's no philosophy to it. But, like, growing up when I was obsessed, it was like, it was different. It was different.
Yeah, it sounds different. It sounds like you were almost, like getting into the history of it and just all different aspects of it, not just doing it, right? Like, like you said, there's just being a stand-up, but there's also like knowing stand-up and all that.
That's right, and I think it is separate. So I'm not as like hardlined anymore. Like some comics are like, you got to know where you came from, man. It's like, no, you don't. You
don't have to make people laugh on stage.
Just can you please be funny?
Yeah.
It's got to the point where there's so many comics, and so much politics with comedy.
Mm-hmm.
How you get to where you're at, where you're going, and end of the day, it's like, is this person funny?
Mm-hmm.
That's all I care about. Are they funny? and rarely they're not.
Right.
Rarely,
So
rarely they are.
you're talking about like popular comics now? Is that what you're talking about?
Popular or mid-tier probably.
Okay.
I think the really high up ones got there for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of mid-tier stuff, and like I think in any industry,
Mm-hmm.
just even like with music and locally, some people get ahead with talents outside of what should be focused on.
Right. Like if they're good at social media, they can possibly draw something in. If they're good
Yeah.
at something else, yeah.
Which I understand is part of the whole thing. I'm trying to get better at
Yeah.
social media, absolutely, or networking outside.
Mhm.
I've always had trouble with networking with people, but end of the day, it's like, are you funny? Like, do you
Yeah.
make me laugh? And sometimes, like, some of these people don't.
Yeah.
It's kind of sad to see. Yeah.
So what do you think? So how long have you been doing comedy for?
I started June. Yeah, here's the obsessive brain. June 14th, 2014.
2014.
So we're looking at
five and a half.
5.5. Yeah. Yeah.
5.5 years. How do you think that comedy has changed in the amount of like since you began doing it? Have you seen some changes publicly or within your own sort of comedy sphere?
Both. Yes to both.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously with myself, like I used to take it a whole different route. There's this thing, Mark Maron has this phrase which I love. You got to like build your clown, which is ultimately
Okay.
throughout the years of doing comedy, you build your voice.
Yeah.
Just like making documentaries, writing a book, you get better as you go along,
Mm-hmm.
and you create an entity.
Yeah.
So these past 5 years, I've created this entity where like I really, really like riffing and crowd work and improv and stuff
Okay.
like that. But when I first started, it was joke, joke, joke. Don't go off script. So within myself, that has changed dramatically.
Do you write less now then?
Yeah, it's actually a problem. Like,
Oh,
I'll,
yeah?
I'll go to an open mic and just do 10 minutes of crowd work,
Yeah.
which is great. It's really fun.
Mhm.
And, like I'm starting to collect those videos and make my social media that brand as a crowd work guy.
Right. Because you're not afraid of giving that stuff away as much either.
Well, that's it too.
yeah.
And the idea behind that is the crowds love it. I love it, but I walk away ultimately with nothing.
Mm.
Meaning,
No new jokes or new material.
It
Is
doesn't
that-
feel as productive. Like
Okay.
people be like, "Yo, that was so great." I was like, "That was great," but I didn't film it. You had a good time. I had a good time, but now
Right.
it's gone.
Yeah.
So, but if you're like writing jokes, you're getting to see point A, point
Mm.
B. This is the exact result of my work.
Interesting.
Well, crowd work's kind of a bit outside of that. So, am I writing as much as I should? No.
Hmm.
As I said, I'll go an open mic with no jokes and just riff, because I like that.
Mhm.
But new year, plan to start writing again, and for me, my writing style is just nuggets.
Oh yeah.
I can't write out bits anymore. I'd write in my phone RV joint, and I would just take that phrase to the stage and try to work out some resemblance of a story.
So you're writing on stage essentially.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
what I've come to learn is what
Yeah.
I like,
Cool.
because it's organic to me.
Yeah.
But I understand why people would struggle with that.
So
Yeah.
what do you think about that? Is it the pressure of that you're trying to really make a joke, that you're trying to like
Yeah,
there's
man.
somebody there?
You like improv, as you know,
Yeah.
comedy is often, not always, but a lot of the end result is spontaneity, is
Mhm.
what's funny, or being surprised or unexpected,
Yeah.
or seeing something organically happen in front of you.
There's something about that. That's why people like watch live things, I think.
Yes. Yeah,
There's
like-
something about organically happening.
That's right. That's what's
Yeah.
cool about like magic.
Uh-huh.
Even with magic, we know there's a thing, but we're still being shocked and surprised. But yeah, so with comedy, what was that? I forget what I was gonna say about. I had this whole thing,
Mm.
but once I said magic, I got like upset because I hate magicians, and my brain's like, just kill all magicians.
That
And my-
seems like a comedian. Like there's a comedian versus magician thing there.
There is.
Yeah.
So like part of my brain's like, be good on this podcast and talk articulately about comedy. And my
And
other
then it's
brain's
like-
like, just punch a magician.
Yeah,
Just
fuck
punch.
magicians.
Oh my God, they're the worst.
That's so funny.
Do you remember the question?
Not at all.
No, we just smoked ketamine. So
Yeah.
yeah. Can you smoke ketamine? No. I guess
I'm
you
sure
can
you
smoke
could.
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything's got a smoking point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the comedy, I mean, we were talking sort of about how comedy's evolved since you
Mhm.
got into it. But one thing that I was thinking about when we're talking about writing and all that is comedy something that is that exclusive to you writing, or is that like, have you written other sort of things as well? Like, do you think of yourself as a writer as well as a comedian? 'Cause I feel like a lot of comedians might.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, you're kind of talking about two different domains as well.
Hmm.
because there's comedy writing and then there's comedy performing.
Sure.
Like, a lot of the great stand-ups just had a great writing team behind them.
Yeah. And they're just performing a set. Yeah.
Or like a Jim Carrey movie. It's just like you're using the writer's words to create the impression. As far as do I see myself as a writer? Not at all.
Okay.
I would love to be a writer. One of my goals is to kind of be like a punch-up script writer, like punch-up scripts.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, like I know a lot of comics, like Patton Oswalt used to do that for work. You would just get like a Disney movie, just add jokes where you see fit. Whether they use them or not, you get paid X amount, rarely credit it. That's kind of interesting to me.
Yeah.
In script writing in general, I'm definitely tapping my toes to it. If that's not a phrase, but you understand what I'm trying to say. Trying to get better at that stuff. I have like so many script ideas. Like it's such a one of those guys. You go to my
just
room,
ideas,
just like pieces of paper.
Yeah.
The one I'm working on now is a bike messenger.
Oh yeah.
Who doesn't know how to ride a bike? So it's just physical comedy, just purely physical. But
would that be a skit then or something?
It would be just like a 20-minute short film of like a guy falling alive.
Nice.
But writing is, you have guys like Mitch Hedberg,
Yeah.
who was obviously a writer.
Writer for sure.
And which is so cool, but so far away from where I'm at.
Mhm.
So my favorite comics are Paul F. Tompkins, Jimmy Pardo. These guys who kind of entertain, almost to a certain degree, are almost purely improv at this point. That's really what I've been interested in the last few years. That's you say how comedy has changed. For me, that's how it's changed. I've leaned towards that side of things more than the hardline point A, point B. Set up punchline. And another thing, to answer that initial question, my brain's kind of bouncing back to it. How have things changed at large in the last 5 years? You have, for good or bad. I mean, even in the 5 years, the political correctness stuff is a point of conversation.
Yeah.
That you could have with anyone. It's very interesting what's happened. Even in 5 years, apparently, I've heard some comics talk about. And obviously, all the idols have fallen. Because when I started, Cosby was still like a guy, and Louis was like the guy.
Yeah.
Now it's like shameful names, right?
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, with the political correctness thing and your style of comedy, it being sort of more improv, there's a bit of more of like a reward of a joke really landing when that happens. But there's also the risk of something not landing or you saying something on stage, because when you've written something down, you're doing an act. As long as you can memorize it, you're not going to stray from that.
That's exactly right. And the risk is part of the reward too.
Yeah.
Just entering that territory is really fun.
Have you personally ever been like affected by sort of doing your improv style and having some sort of like...
I could tell you stories all day.
Yeah?
We'll bounce into a couple. I wanted to talk about something first.
Sure.
Yes, so you say there's a risk. There is a risk.
Yeah.
So my kind of style of comedy is you get booked for time. So someone's like, Evan, can you come up and do 20 minutes in Courtney or whatever? And so I know I have essentially 20 minutes of jokes if I were to do no crowd work. So at the very least, if I'm getting paid to do 20 minutes of comedy, I'm going to have 20 minutes of jokes.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you can't do crowd work.
Right.
Or improv, because there's
two
dudes at the back who are talking to each other, and there's empty chairs and just like an owl staring at you. Like that's going to happen so much where you can't riff or have fun because it's a miserable experience.
Depends on the room, yeah.
So then you just have 20 minutes of jokes. You do your time.
And just get out.
You get out.
If it's like that, yeah.
Exactly. So I do have jokes, and so it's a risk. If things aren't going well, I usually kind of slip in and out.
Yeah.
Kind of like a lucid dream. Like I just go in and out of jokes and improv. At a certain point, my idea is they don't know what's real, what's not. That's kind of like a kind of a lofty way to look at it, but
so they don't know what's like pre-prepped. Is that what you mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Ultimately, that's my goal in a set. If you see me do like a longer set, obviously some are pre-written, but I want to make it confusing,
right?
At a certain degree. When things have gone wrong so many times.
Yeah. You're getting called there.
My alarm is going.
It's all good.
No, it was ringing for so long. I thought it was an alarm.
Yeah.
But
I was wondering what that was. I was like, is that me?
How is it still ringing?
We can just cut if you want.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no. This is way too much fun.
Oh, okay.
That was my mom. She's stage 5 cancer. But that's nothing. We don't need to worry about that.
Okay.
I was going to talk about the things that have gone wrong.
Yeah.
Is this table bothering
This
you?
table gone wrong? Is it bothering you?
It wasn't until you started playing with it.
Sorry.
Now I'm like, this table is kind of off-putting.
This table's horrible.
You need a cloth, man.
You think so?
You need a tablecloth.
Thing is we like to take this table down. It pops in and out. That's why
okay.
it's moving around, is because it's a shitty RV table.
It'd be a whole to-do with the cloth.
It'd be a to-do with the cloth. It's just like one extra thing. I don't know, man. I just want to replace the whole thing, like fix it.
Get rid of this?
Yeah, I want to take this off. I was actually thinking of doing like an epoxy pour over top.
Yeah.
Totally take this vinyl shit off and do like, this is like the statement table, you know, because everything in here is like black and white. Do like the fucking, this is the feature.
That's a really interesting way to look at it. And as a filmmaker, that's where you have a vision, right?
I have a bit of a vision. Like I'm gonna, I mean, this is sort of a little bit of a set almost for.
It feels like a set. You have like the lights.
It's a set, but we're also living in it. But it's also like, for one of my documentaries, we're gonna be traveling and shit.
Exactly.
So it is like we're gonna be filming here all the time.
No, but it looks like the trailer like Brad Pitt uses in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Like it feels like a Hollywood trailer.
Oh, that's cool.
There's like just random weed and probably cat food. There's a cat. I hope there's cat food.
We have a smart feeder under the table. A lot of shit's like hidden everywhere in here.
It's so compact.
Yeah.
It reminds me of like a thigh muscle. Like there's just a lot involved in such a small. I don't know why I'm making thigh muscle references.
That's interesting. Yeah.
So this is the cat right here, Ronnie.
Yeah, Ronnie. He's gonna check you out for sure.
Yeah, what up, Ronnie? That's Eminem's cousin.
Oh, is it? Ronnie?
I don't know. I think so. There's a song "Cleaning Out My Closet."
He mentions. Yeah.
Hey, cousin Ronnie. Hey. Anyway, okay. So, bad times. Bad times comedy, improv. The worst one was, I look back and cringe at a lot of the stuff I've done because there's such a nuance with crowd work, and I'm learning, and I see people trying, and with crowd work, you can easily offend and cross the line, which I've personally had to apologize definitely because you're in the moment of like you're kind of roasting them, and you think they're giving, then you say something that just ultimately it might work with the crowd even, but you see their face like. And so I've really become more nuanced with really trying not to cross a line.
Interesting.
With people because I don't like to offend people personally.
Sure.
And I have in the past when I get really roasty and I think they're into it. There's been shows where like one really bad one, and like I don't think I'm the enemy in this situation. It never happens. Rarely do I actually offend people, but that was just an example. This is a perfect. What I'm trying to say is I was at Darcy's in Langford.
Yeah.
There's this big comedy show, and there's this table up front, and they're just not interested, and not, which is to expect it, be expected in a place kind of like sports. Like it's a great place, but it's like kind of sports heavy, not necessarily a comedy venue. I think this was the first one too. No one knew what was going on. They were just there to drink and get fucked up.
Totally.
And I can't blame them as a person, but as a comedy fan or as someone who is like in front of a person on stage, like you should ultimately, as a person, just have some sort of semblance of respect that someone is on stage beside you. Anyway, there's a table, these people just like yelling and screaming, and you get ultimately people scream, like yell at you, and you as a comedian you go through all of it. This one girl was just kept yelling and interrupting me and like being just the worst, right?
Yeah.
So I started roasting her.
Yeah.
And the crowd like loves it. They love it when you roast somebody.
Especially a heckler like that too.
Especially a heckler.
Yeah.
So I get really into it. Like 'cause I'm really good. Like I think I'm a good roaster.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's just a thing I'm good at. So this girl, we're going back and forth, and then I said, the line I said was like she looked like Pamela Anderson if hepatitis C won.
Oh.
And it was fun, whatever. So I got off stage thinking everything was okay, and I'm outside smoking, and her boyfriend comes up and shoulders me. Big dude, big scary man, just chucks me to the ground.
Whoa.
Sort of like knocked me off my feet. I know the security was right there.
Yeah.
So they cleared it up. He wasn't gonna fight me, but he was just like, yo.
Yeah.
As a man, I have to defend this person with blood.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty serious.
Yeah. That's one example. That was kind of just to hit that point of crossing the line. So that was like 3 years ago. So the nuance is there now.
Yeah. It's I don't know, man. I just have this understanding of like comedy where it's just jokes. Like none of it's serious.
Yeah.
So it's like you may have crossed the line, but it's also just sort of like their line.
Exactly.
It's you have a different line as a comedian, I feel like.
You do,
Like-
but as a person, you want to kind of be a decent person. But
Sure, I guess.
But for that, I always go back and forth with all this stuff. I get really cynical about crowds, and like, you see the worst and you see the best in human nature in a crowd, good or bad. But I just try not to make people feel bad in comedy, because like that's why I love comedy growing up. It was like the solace, right?
Okay.
So the idea of offending and making people feel bad just kind of sucks to me. Like I get it, because the art of comedy, I understand,
Yeah.
is not to make people feel comfortable. And if your joke telling is kind of like that sort of punchy, I'm going to talk about the banks, society, you're going to offend certain people. I just don't do that kind of comedy, so I'm like not in that arena, so I don't have to, defend offensive stuff too much.
Sure.
I just kind of like talk about myself and like absurd dick jokes, stuff
Yeah.
like that, which I guess could offend people.
And people can be offended by anything.
But at that point, I'm just like, that's too far gone. Yeah.
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
What do you think about the cliche that like that comedians have a bad childhood and that's why they've like come out with they're on stage talking about that kind of shit?
I mean, that's the traveling circus effect. Any entertainer, comedy or musician, everyone I met in arts, well, that's not true. The talented ones are usually from a broken childhood, or they had some sort of aversion in childhood that happened, or something weird happened, or whatever it wasn't ideal. But as I say that, I think the Venn diagram's there. I think yes, you're going to get a lot of artists and comedians included to come from a fucked up place. Obviously, not always the case. You can just grow up being a genius writer. Like I think Anthony Jeselnik, it's just like a brilliant joke writer.
Sure.
And I think I don't know his childhood, but I know personal comedians around town who grew up very wealthy. Everything's great. And they just do good comedy. That's awesome.
Right.
And so it's not required, but I think it leans towards it. And I think with comedy especially, it's a defense mechanism, right? If you're being bullied, or it's just your way to get out of awkward situations to be the funny guy, yeah, you'll see more of that for sure. Yeah.
And you said earlier that sort of was your defense mechanism a bit?
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit.
I mean, yeah, but I also come from like a small town.
Okay.
So like,
everybody sort of knew each other, like.
Yeah, and I think everyone's kind of funny.
Oh yeah.
So I think like
in small towns.
Yeah, I don't know. You're just weird. You're weird. So I think I grew up around what I think are funny people.
Yeah.
So it's like part of it is just keeping up. I mean, sure, the part of it was like as a kid, you getting bullied as a fat kid. But I was always able to temper that with being like a funny guy. So I was never really bullied that much.
Right.
I guess I used comedy as a levity and not so much as a crutch, I guess.
Was it sort of just more of like a mutual exchange of like being able to come back at somebody or something like that?
Yeah, someone's like called me like fat.
Yeah.
I'd be like, yeah, but your shoes are different.
Yeah,
like, whatever.
Yeah, right.
You have one leg, whatever it is. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
What are some of your goals in comedy? Like, what do you want to accomplish, you think?
Oh, so many, and I think the number one goal is probably not to be a stand-up comedian.
Really?
Ultimately.
You want to lead it into something else.
I do. Like I love performing so much. Like I think that's why like recently it's just like mostly improv and like just playing with crowds. I know I talked about it kind of loosely and kind of lackadaisically earlier, but I do want to be a screenwriter.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to be good at it. That's something I am trying to I have 2 scripts right now I'm working on. Hopefully by the end of the year try to pitch one. And one of them is the Bike Messenger.
Cool.
I want to pitch it just as a really fun comedy. But so there's that. Then there's the podcast. Huge for me. So I had one called Must Be Nice. I'm just finalizing it now. I had kind of a mental breakdown, so I didn't finish it.
Okay.
So there's 2 episodes that are waiting to be released.
Yeah.
So I'm going to release them and archive it. It's on Spotify,
Mhm.
YouTube right now. Must Be Nice. I created a city from scratch.
Okay, so that's the city one. That's what that one's called. Okay, I've
Must Be
listened to
Nice.
that. Yeah.
Yes, it's a city. The idea was you go in, you build a utopia from nothing. You invite a guest. They would bring in clothing, sports,
Banks.
great,
Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
banks. So that was my podcast, and I was so happy with what happened there. I actually want to turn that into a TV show in a weird way. But that one gave me a lot of anxiety.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it at a certain point because it's like I started it after a bad breakup,
Yeah.
and it ended. My life just changed so much in the weird time. Anyway, so there's that. Then I want to do a new podcast where I ask Paul Rudd for money. It's gonna be Paul Rudd. Can I have $5?
Yeah.
Where every week I just ask him for money, and I'll probably start a YouTube channel. Have that on the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
So that just speaking of goals this year is like those are a couple.
Wait, I'm curious about this Paul Rudd
Yeah,
one.
it's insane.
How is it going to expand
It's
beyond
insane.
that?
Well, here's the deal. It might just be, yeah. I think I would
I mean, I don't want to ruin it. Like, I don't want if you haven't. Yeah.
No, each season would be a new celebrity ultimately.
Okay.
So it would be the first one would be Paul Rudd, or the podcast would be maybe can I have some money, whatever. First season would be Paul Rudd.
Yeah.
It could be 700 episodes. Who knows when he's going to answer me and send? The idea is he's going to have to send me a check from Paul Rudd for that podcast to end, and I will keep doing that podcast until he sends me a check. Then if he does, where do you go from there? Well, you go after a different
the next
celebrity.
one. Yeah.
It'd be like Christian Bale sent me $5.
Yeah.
And you would just during the podcast, you would just ultimately just lose your mind. And I have some pretty crazy ideas because I want to film it.
Yeah.
So there'd be a lot of like physical bits,
Okay.
slipping, and yeah, that's stupid. But yeah, that's another one of my goals this year. But the end goal is to be performer of some way.
Not necessarily stand up.
Not necessarily stand up, and even I don't know about acting, but definitely performing in some way. The stand up, the purity of stand up is something I love and respect. I love stand up comedy so much, but it's hard, and it's not something I necessarily want to do as a Canadian stand up comic. It's an interesting way of life. You travel across Canada. Our country's beautiful, and you get to go to all these cool places and perform and get paid fairly well, and it's cool. That just doesn't really interest me. Like I've done a few gigs. I've been flown to Alberta.
Okay.
Obviously have gone back east, but that doesn't really interest me. Like I'll go to LA and New York and be a comic and just perform as a comic, but like that doesn't happen, So I don't know what I want ultimately, but just eventually be on stage or write. I don't know.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit more about your first time actually going and doing stand-up.
Okay.
Because it was like you wrote for a couple years.
Yeah.
And then what was the catalyst to actually get you up on stage for the first time?
Very good question. The catalyst, I think there were a few. As I said, there's one big one, but one of them was growing up watching, just going to school and watching people at the Yuck Yucks, the open mic.
Yeah.
Thinking I was funnier than them. To just arrogance, pure arrogance. That wasn't the catalyst. The catalyst was I was with a girl who moved out west to UVic, went to UVic, and I stayed back in Nova Scotia. And for that year, I was kind of like working at like an ice cream factory for a second, and just I had just graduated university, still obsessed with comedy, but I had a lot of free time. So during that year, when she was away, I was alone. That's what it got like darkly obsessed, and I would just write all the time and just dream of it, not really thinking I'd ever do it. And then I moved out with her the year after, and the second day I was here, I'm just like, I'm doing it. I just Googled the day of. I think I Googled Victoria stand up, and that night, luckily, there was an open mic, Ratfish Comedy, and I was able to go up and just do it. It was so like I knew flying to the West Coast. I knew I was going to do it.
Yeah.
I didn't think it happened like that quick.
Right.
Just this day of, I'm like, I just need to do it.
Yeah, you just had it in your mind.
Because at a certain point, they say perfect is the enemy of good.
Yeah.
So you're creating for 5 years this ultimate. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
And I'm a perfectionist, and it's actually a bad thing.
Mhm.
You got to produce, right? So that day, I had a stroke of luck and just like and I hit the open mic. Yeah.
That's cool.
So that was a catalyst coming out west, I guess, ultimately. Because also performing for the first time in front of people that to me is like the cringiest thing ever.
Right.
I could.
You don't want your whole family there.
Oh my
all
God.
your friends.
Even now, 5 years in, it's
Yeah.
like but the first couple times.
Yeah. Strangers are much easier to perform in front of.
So much easier.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
What? Just 1 second.
Yeah,
Can
dude.
I ask you a couple questions?
Yeah, sure.
What's in the water here? The rocks. Those rocks. What is that?
Yeah.
Are you like a crystal person?
No. These are actual minerals. Like that's like zinc and calcium and like.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
So you plop them in there and they kind of float around.
Yeah, they like hit each other and knock off little bits, and then it's elemental like minerals.
Yeah.
So we have it in our water jug as well. Like where I lived before, we actually had like a jug, and it was like in there properly and shit.
That's really neat.
But we can't do that, so I was just like, oh, I'll just throw a couple in here. Yeah.
So you have it in the Brita filter as well.
Yeah, it's in there.
Super neat.
Yeah, I mean, it's just to, because actually this filter I have, it's not a Brita, it's a zero filter, so it actually gets rid of like everything in there, and you're not supposed to actually drink water like that. You're supposed to actually have like minerals, because otherwise it will strip minerals out of your body as you sweat, as you have to, go to the bathroom and all that.
Sure, yeah.
And so you're just putting those minerals into your body.
Right.
So you can do that through like salts and shit too, but
that makes sense.
This helps.
That's really neat.
Yeah.
That's very very interesting. Yeah. Do you are you like are you vegan or
No?
Okay, I was just thinking you put iron in there or something. I don't know what you're doing, but
yeah, no, I don't think there might be iron in that actually. I think there is, because some of these rocks are tinged a little bit like rusty.
That's so cool.
No, I used to be vegan, but and then I was vegetarian, and then I would like only eat meat that I killed myself.
Okay.
And then I was like, and then my girlfriend actually has been vegetarian for like ever, and then she had a stomach ulcer from like a parasite when we were traveling.
Yeah.
So she took a huge dose of antibiotics. Has no gut flora, so she couldn't eat anything. So I had to start like cooking her meat, because she couldn't digest lentils and stuff.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And then she was so squeamish of being vegetarian for 10 years that she would like eat one piece of meat and be like, no, I can't do it anymore. And so I would just be like, I'm not wasting that, and I would just eat it. So now,
I mean, that's self-sufficiency. That makes a lot of sense.
That's always been more important to me than a diet, a restricted diet.
Of course.
You know?
And the reason I ask that is just because, it's kind of like when you say comedy and offensiveness. Like I'm in an RV with like spices and like rocks. Like, so the vegan like a candle made of bees or beeswax.
Yeah, bees made of crushed bees.
Made of crushed bees. Like there's a vegan element to this RV. There's a vegan atmosphere.
Right.
I'm not seeing any loose meats. I'm seeing rice and flour, and you respect cats. You're treating your cat very well.
No drying, hanging meat. Like, we don't have like salmon drying in here.
I picture like Rocky. Like every RV should be like the Rocky scene. Punching. No, it's very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, we just kind of set it up for how we want to live in it. Like, this was all the stuff we had in our basement suite before we were in here, and
I think it's a beautiful way to live. Like, I'm not even like romanticizing it. There's in Nova Scotia, there's this story, The Hermit of Golly Lake.
Oh yeah.
That's a script I should write. This guy, he was conscripted by the U.S. Army during World War II. He's a draft dodger, and he ended up in Nova Scotia in this completely remote part of Nova Scotia, and he lived as a hermit for 60 years in a shed. He like built his own guitars, and just obviously killed his own meats. I guess you kill the animal, it becomes meat. But, so like I've always romanticized like the Walden aspect of just living and getting away from everything. But then I'm like also like drinking like Mountain Dew and playing video games. So it's like
just living the complete opposite.
Pick a lane. Oh god.
Yeah. That's my goal with this is, I mean, this was just a stepping stone. Like I want to be able to buy land and then park this on it.
Perfect.
And then just start building out. Like,
and for now, like not paying rent. I mean, I'm sure this thing guzzles a certain amount of gas, but
dude, it's a 4-cylinder.
Yeah.
I've spent $70 on gas for the past week.
That's okay. Forget about it. That's fine. I mean, rent is, I pay $7,000 for a toilet.
Yeah. No, for real.
Yeah.
It's brutal here.
Yeah.
Where are you at now? Like, what's sort of what are you doing? You said you're not doing road gigs, and you're not really interested in that kind of stuff.
I definitely am interested in like doing that. As I said, I just love performing. But ultimately, that being the end goal.
Yeah.
I think that's the end goal for a lot of comics, is just to have a comfortable
career
living,
with that. Yeah.
Traveling Canada. For now, yeah, absolutely. Like I was lucky enough to be flown out to Fort McMurray. And it's like I would never go there otherwise. And doing gigs up island, I do a lot. I love it because it's a beautiful province.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what comedy has led me to do some really interesting gigs. Like I would never be in Ucluelet at the Legion
Mm-hmm.
doing a show for 400 people from Ucluelet, then going to an after party
Yeah.
with some various characters and various drugs
Yep.
that you didn't think existed, and you would see in these small little places. Like they're just very interesting. That's why I love travel aspect, but I just don't see that myself ending up there.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. I don't know. I have like ADD. Like I just like performing and being funny for now.
Mm-hmm.
Just trying to work on goals, but yeah. I don't know.
It seems like, yeah, we've been talking about a bunch of stuff. It seems like you sort of have some contradictions in the way that you like live, which I find interesting. Like you're trying to find a balance between like two sort of things that you're interested in some ways.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, that's true. There's definitely a bit of a crossroads thing happening, which I think has been making me very creative lately.
Cool.
Like I do want to start that YouTube channel with the Paul Rudd thing.
Yeah.
Archive the Must Be Nice podcast. Start posting more clips of myself on YouTube or Instagram. I find just even like, you've seen me at the Mint, I think.
I did, yeah.
So the Mint's a great show to go to Wednesday nights on Douglas Street there.
Yeah, you were making fun of the saw blade. That's what I remember.
The what?
The saw blade on the wall?
Oh, okay.
Or maybe not.
I probably was.
Somebody was making fun of the saw blade.
I've definitely
made
fun of that saw blade. It's very off-putting.
It's so weird.
Not aesthetically pleasing.
No.
Kind of scary.
Yeah.
I've literally been like, hey, I know the manager, or one of them. I was like, hey, can you just get rid of it?
Yeah.
You don't need it.
Why is it there?
It's frightening. I think that building used to be a meat thing.
Was it?
I think so, yeah.
It is kind of cool. Like it's a scenic when it's lit just in that corner. I'm good actually.
Yeah.
Brick walls behind you.
Beautiful.
Like it's pretty sweet.
I love it. Like I think of
Yeah.
like classic comedy shows. Like
Yeah. It's like a little cellar. Yeah, comedy cellar.
Yeah, exactly. You go down. And I love the vibe of it. But what was I going to say before that? I forget. Crossroads, creative.
Mm-hmm.
Instagram. I'm trying to get better social media. So like posting like video clips of myself doing crowd work on my Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
That's ultimately where I want to start taking it and use that platform more with YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Because like for 5 years I just essentially been building my clown.
Mm-hmm.
I found what I think is my voice.
Mm-hmm.
Now I just need to get better at sharing it and getting out of the city, right?
Yeah.
Not that I want to move out of Victoria. Victoria is like, I think it's beautiful, man. Like growing up in Nova Scotia, Victoria is there's something very special about it. I hated it. I hated Victoria for like the first like 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
I always dreamt of like going back home immediately, get out of here. But lately, there's something very interesting about not Victoria, Vancouver Island. I would probably say. Yeah. Something weird about it. I don't know. I've become like a hippie. I don't know. My whole brain's changed.
How long have you been out here for now?
Since June 14th. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, but so I'd love to live in Victoria, but ultimately, like, how do you have a career in comedy here? Well, sell that script about a bike messenger, and we'll talk then, right? I don't know. I'm trying my best.
Yeah. It's not really doable from the shows around here and stuff.
Things, things are so different. Like YouTube, I could have a YouTube channel and and have a career like Bo Burnham. It's like there's so many different ways to go about it. That I think anything's possible, and you just gotta work hard. I'm trying to work hard.
Do you enjoy social media?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I Instagram is really aesthetically pleasing to me. Facebook, no.
Yeah.
I used to see it as like a corruption of society, but I think it's not really that. I think as far as entertainers go, it's great. It's great, but I'm just not good at it. I'm trying to get better. Are you good at it? Do you like it?
I don't think I'm really good at Instagram or anything like that. I don't like Instagram.
No.
I don't like Facebook. I like YouTube.
You
I've
do like
YouTube? Always liked YouTube. Like I've been uploading to YouTube since it was first a thing.
2006.
Yeah. That's when I started uploading, and it was just like stupid skits with my friends.
Right.
I was like 13 or whatever. But yeah, I made like a check from YouTube when I was 13 for
that's unbelievable.
like $130, and I was like, and it was like from Google, and I was like, fuck, this is sweet.
That is the coolest thing.
It was really cool.
That's the coolest thing. So yeah, that's inspiring me to get my channel up. I'll get Paul Rudd on your podcast, maybe.
That'd be nice.
That'd be nice.
That'd be okay.
But that is inspiring. You're 13 years old. You get a check. It's like doing your first paid comedy gig. I got paid to perform.
Yeah, that's unbelievable.
Just side note, have you been affected by, like, I know the YouTube the ad
Mhm.
controversy kind of has that changed? Is that
Well, there's a lot of things going on YouTube right now. Like there was the adpocalypse, and there was like the
Yeah.
adpocalypse 2.0. So there's a lot of things going on, and then now YouTube is was sued for targeting children with advertisements.
right?
So now you have to declare if your video's for kids.
I do see that when I've been uploading my podcast. It has that.
Is this for kids? Is it not?
Yeah,
And if it
yeah.
is, then there's no advertisements on it, so you don't get any money. So there's
which a lot of the big YouTubers, that's how they became ultimately millionaires, is that right?
is making
Frey.
pretty much kids
Yeah.
content. Yeah,
Yeah.
like all the big YouTubers now, it's like adult themed content targeted towards kids.
Right.
And they say that it's not for kids,
Like,
even
like-
though
like-
it is. It's
like,
really fucked up.
That's really interesting. Then you have people like the kids react and
Yeah.
all that stuff.
Oh, and there's more tight laws now on if you have kids in your videos
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
There's a lot of interesting things. I haven't really been affected by it at all. Like this will go on my second channel, which is just like whatever I want.
Right.
And it's much smaller than my main channel, which is my documentary
Which
stuff.
is your main documentary, full features, or like kind of more focused on.
Yeah, what I do with that
projects?
is I do weekly alternative living documentaries.
Oh, okay.
So I'll find someone who's living in a van, a tiny house, something like that,
Okay.
and then do a full like 20-minute doc just on them and their experience.
That's that little vignette, if you will.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And I should have went on YouTube before, but as I said, I have ADD, so I was probably typing your name in, and then it came up like wiggly worms. And like, oh, wiggly worms. What are those? That's really cool. So another thing I've been reading about with YouTube is content. So there's a war channel that was demonetized because the algorithm picked up that it was talking about Nazis and swastikas.
Yeah.
So it got demonetized because it was reading as hate speech or
Right.
something.
Sure.
But it was I forget what it was called. It was a channel that talked about World War II.
It was a historical channel of some kind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I found that that's scary.
Well, it's all just so much of YouTube is just algorithmic.
Algorithms.
Yeah. So they're just grabbing stuff, and then they're like, because they have to have these things in place, because if they don't, they like these giant organizations like in Europe,
Mhm.
especially like the UN will just like be like, okay, YouTube's not allowed.
Right.
If they don't have like really strict things.
Mhm.
And then so they have to be strict and then dial it back. So
Right.
then they have a human go in and actually look at it and be like, okay, this is a history channel. So there's been a ton of people that have been fully demonetized, had
Mhm.
all sort of video, copyright, all this, when it's been fair use, all different sort of issues like that. And it's all based on the algorithm.
Right.
But the algorithm's getting better and better, and it's built off because it's through machine learning. It's
Mhm.
built from people using it and interacting with it,
Right.
with videos on there.
Right.
What are they? What does a comment say about what the actual content of the video
Mhm.
is?
Mhm.
If it's more hate speech, then this is a hate speech. More likely a hate speech video.
Yeah.
If it's talking about, this was interesting, blah blah
Mhm.
blah, history, a lot of history keywords in there, all that kind of stuff, then they
It would
might
pick
be
that-
able to
pick that
figure
out.
that out.
I mean, that in itself is nuanced,
Yeah.
There was, I don't know if it was Vice or someone did kind of a mini documentary on the people who review manually videos uploaded to Facebook or YouTube.
Oh yeah, I began watching that and didn't finish it, but
It's
yeah, I know the
pretty-
video.
It's pretty terrifying. Like just the
They
stuff
have to
that-
watch like all sorts of horrible stuff.
Yeah, just death and
Yeah.
child porn and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So like that, I understand why YouTube is taking the ultra strict rule
Yeah.
just to kind of cut that nonsense out. But yeah, it's a very interesting platform, and you've been involved for 14 years. It's
Mhm.
I just want to get on now. But yeah, I've been a YouTube fan, and do you upload to Vimeo as well for documentaries?
No.
Because that's not interactive. That just allows you to have a higher
Well,
resolution.
What Vimeo is it's a paid thing. So
Mhm.
you, as a creator, you pay,
Right.
and then you have a certain amount of bandwidth.
Mhm.
So there's different tiers or whatever. But anyway, then there's no ads. There's no ads on the entire site.
Right.
So people use it for more like show reels, and it also allows you to have a pay-per-view sort of video as well.
Right.
So if you wanted to try to sell your video,
Mhm.
you could do it through Vimeo.
Mhm.
The no advertising makes it so that if you send something from Vimeo to a client,
Mhm.
they're not going to get bombarded by like ads from YouTube and pre-rolls and all this, and it's just more professional.
That makes sense. Now that you say that, when
Yeah.
I'm on Vimeo, usually it's someone's like short film.
It tends to be
uh,
trying to be professional stuff, show reels,
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
I don't do that because I love YouTube. Like
Yeah.
I think YouTube is kind of the way, like, it's the way videos are going to be made and put on there. Like, nobody's going to theaters anymore. Like, it's all the money's going towards Netflix, and then it's like Netflix has to pay so much for content to be created that it's like YouTube has to just pay you a percentage of the ad rates and have the structure, the database to be able to hold it.
Exactly.
And they have like way cheaper content, and people are spending tons of time on there. So.
Well, and I grew up, we didn't even touch on this stuff, but I grew up in a punk band. I was in a hardcore band for many years.
Yeah.
And DIY, do it yourself. We record ourselves. Same with comedy. It's like do it yourself. And the YouTube of just like anyone. It could be that 90-year-old woman who started playing guitar with her parrot. Just like anyone can do it and become something. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
My friend, shout out Ryan Lee, he bought YouTube Premium for me.
Oh yeah.
He's like you're on. I was talking about YouTube. I was on it.
Yeah.
Very interesting YouTube, and he's like he bought that for me. And like even premium is kind of a cool because it gets rid of the ads.
No ads, yeah.
And you get the YouTube, which I think is going to be a big thing coming up. The YouTube
originals.
There's some neat things on there that I've seen.
Well, they had really good success with Cobra Kai.
The show there. Yeah.
Like that actually like won some awards and did well.
Right. There's some really cool documentaries on there. But yeah, it's great. YouTube is cool. I get it. I get why you would use it.
Well, it's just one of the platforms for people like us. Like there's so much opportunity now, and like even you touched on YouTube Originals. There's like I saw Lyft was making a show.
Okay.
Like what the fuck? Like Lyft? But okay, anyway. But what it means is that it's like a seller's market out there right now. Like people need content because they're all trying to compete with Netflix and YouTube and all this. Like video is such a money maker.
Yeah, it's true capitalism inside of an app. Like you do see the high quality of the videos are getting, the better the competition is getting. I do find the algorithms interesting as well. The more you watch, the more it kind of learns about you, and as the kind of like Spotify would for your music taste. And then you get the recommended videos pop up, and like the more you're on YouTube, the more they figure you out.
Totally.
So it becomes such a problem because now I go on YouTube, my recommended videos are all like bangers. Like I want to watch all of them.
Yeah.
Here's a dude playing accordion to a rat that screams at him, or whatever it is, and they just know what I'm into.
Sure.
Like I'm really into like obviously rap battles are most of my videos, but there's like these white guys who go to who live in Japan or Korea, and they look like dumb white guys, and they start speaking English.
Oh,
then they start speaking the native language, and you see like elderly people like, oh my
the
God.
reaction to it.
Reaction. You're so good at Mandarin or whatever. I think YouTube has caught on to my habits.
Yeah.
So I go on YouTube now, just 17 videos of this white guy in Korea, like, hey.
Yeah.
So YouTube, if you're listening, I want more like videos of people working out and like gyms and push-ups and stuff like that, so YouTube can fix that.
Shit you don't actually want to watch, but you just want it to be there.
Nah, I'm a guy who works out a lot, so like that's the kind of information I want. So like that's kind of funny, but I love it, I guess. It's probably a bad thing for us, but whatever. I don't know.
Who knows?
We're in an RV. Come on, there's minerals in your water. We're doing okay.
We're doing all right.
We're doing okay.
Anyway, man, this has been an awesome podcast. It's
cool.
been great having you on.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah, your social media. You said you have some upcoming stuff. When we talked, you were saying that you had. I do.
It's not nothing's finalized yet. I have a website, Mumford.com. Bought and working on the website now. That's ultimately just going to host all my projects. The Must Be Nice podcast is a big one because that has there's a legend to it. Like I've built maps for it and stuff, so that's going to be a part of the website. So there's going to be some
visuals, really?
Visuals.
Yeah.
You can find the podcast now on Spotify and YouTube, mostly Spotify, but that's going to be on there. Video clips. I've been collecting clips of my stand-up. That'll be posted. Music I've made.
Cool.
But for now, by the time this is out, probably just like Instagram, Evan Mumford. It's MUMPHORD because I thought it was clever at the time.
Cool.
Just do IG. Like Facebook and Twitter, it's like they're kind of dead to me. Like I go on them, but I don't really interact.
Yeah.
But Instagram I'm on a lot, and I do have a show I should promote, Tricked Out Trivia.
Oh, Tricked Out Trivia, yeah.
Tricked Out Trivia. It's every.
Is that Lucky?
Every 2 weeks at Darcy's downtown. Darcy's. Which is a great spot for it. It's kind of a joke comedians trivia night.
Oh,
Where
cool.
we write the question and you write the answer.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like Cards Against Humanity.
Mm.
The question could be anything about like Christmas. Like, what was the worst Christmas gift you've ever gotten? Would be,
Yeah.
and the crowd writes the answers.
Yeah.
We mark them with if we think they're really funny, 2 points, whatever.
Mhm.
We read them out. There's 2 rounds. So it's like if you think you're funny, you want to have fun.
Yeah.
It's just a really great night. Trick
Sweet.
Trivia at Darcy's. We're doing it this Wednesday, but yeah, it's every 2 weeks. So we're on Instagram as well.
Every 2 weeks on Wednesdays.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Trick Trivia is on Instagram as well, which I would definitely promote.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I'm just around. I'm in Victoria, just a guy.
Yeah, and you do some of the spots. Like I've seen you at the Mint a couple times. You still
Yeah.
go there? Do you
Yeah.
do some open like?
Yeah.
There's a couple different spots for
There is.
random stuff in Victoria. If
There's-
people want to see you.
There's random stuff. Again, follow me.
Pierogi bar or something too.
Yeah, it's a pierogi bar. So if you follow me on Instagram, I post a lot of my shows. Like not
Okay.
my open mics, but like the book ones.
Oh sure.
There's Lucky
Mm-hmm.
on Yates has a great show that I host. Whistle Boy Brewery.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be headlining that show later this month.
Nice.
I think.
Depending on when this is released. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But open mics are very interesting in general. And open mics in Victoria, there are 2 rooms right now.
Mm-hmm.
There is the pierogi place, Salt,
Mm-hmm.
which is on Yates, and there's Logan's Pub, which is right there on Cook Street at Tuesdays. So Monday,
Mhm.
Tuesdays are the open mic nights. I try to get out, but it's tough. Like I do work for the government during the day.
Mm-hmm.
And as I said, like sometimes, you just go out and it sucks. So that kind of sucks, but that's part of the work. I like to go to Logan's because it's right beside my house.
Yeah, it's
and
easy.
Easy.
Yeah.
Drink a couple hay alls, see what happens, and
Nice.
yeah.
Sounds like a good night.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Thanks so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you, Forrest. This is my pleasure.
And just before we leave, I just want to thank my Patreons this month. The Francis brothers, Jamie and Dan, Stephanie Bird, Renee Emond, and Andrea Erdina. However you pronounce that.
That's great. Thank you guys.
Yeah. Cool, man.
Cool.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Forrest.
Yeah, dude.
My pleasure.